Hi, I'm Marco Rubio, and as always, let me thank you for the privilege and the honor of representing you here in Washington, D.C. as your United States Senator. This is our first installment of Constituent Mailbox for 2012, so let me begin by wishing all of you a Happy New Year. I hope 2012 will be better than 2011. And let's get started. This week's actually pretty easy. Rather than going through multiple issues, we have so much mail and so many emails regarding one particular issue, and that is the so-called SOPA in the House and Protect IP in the Senate, bills that impact how the internet would be regulated moving forward, that I decided just to focus on that. Now, as many of you know, I was initially a co-sponsor of the bill, and then last week I withdrew my co-sponsorship, and I want to share with you why. But let me first share a couple of the letters we received because they're typical of the kind of input we got. One letter was from Jessica in Atlantic Beach, and she writes, "I'm writing you in concern about the Protect IP Act. I'm a 27-year-old registered Republican, and while I have always voted in major elections, I have never really paid much attention to politics. Right now, the internet is on fire with protests over the Protect IP Act. After reading both sides of the argument, I feel that the bill is not in the best interest of this country. I have seen you on the list of supporters for this bill. I want you to know that as your constituent, I am greatly disappointed in this. I hope that you will listen. I'm sorry to be so harsh, but for the first time in my life, I actually care. Thank you for your time." Then the second letter comes from Miss Alexandra in Wellington, and she writes that she's representing several songwriters and composers and encouraging me to sponsor and support SOPA, which is the House companion of the Protect IP Act that Jessica wrote about. She writes that over the past decade, internet music piracy has decimated the American music industry and wrought particular devastation on the profession of songwriter and composer. As many as 90% of our country's professional songwriters and composers are no longer able to earn a full-time royalty income for one simple reason: internet music piracy. Royalties have shrunk dramatically, and so have the creative opportunities for songwriters and composers. This legislation will allow removal of rogue websites whose primary activity is based on piracy. Many of these sites are located in the former Soviet Union and distribute copyrighted material with no compensation whatsoever. And so she's basically asking me as a songwriter and as a composer to support the law. And here's the bottom line. They both make excellent points. On the one hand, we do have internet. The internet is constitutionally protected. We do have the right to free speech on the internet. And I believe the internet should be kept open and free of government interference. And I was concerned when I read the bill and after all the public input that we got. On the other hand, you don't have a constitutional right to steal. And it's unfair that American inventors, and it's not just songwriters, it's people that invent all kinds of stuff. In Florida, it was people at Universal and Disney that came to see us and said, you know, they invent things. They have movies and cartoons and products that they make, and then they go on a website somewhere and they're being stolen and sold in China and Russia and in other places. And that's costing American jobs, and it's costing Americans money that they deserve to be making, and it's wrong. And so how do we balance those two things? How do we protect people's intellectual property and their property rights, but at the same time not put an onerous burden on the internet and give government too much power to regulate it? And that's why I decided to step back. You know, although I think we have to do something about piracy, we have to do it in the right way, and we have to do it in a way that doesn't threaten our access to the internet or expand the power of government. And so what I said is, let's just take a step back and let's do this right. Let's find a balancing act here, but this needs to be addressed. This can't simply just go away. We do have to address it, but we have to address it in a way that's responsible and doesn't lead to unintended consequences. And I hope that that's what we'll do. So after hearing from so many Floridians and so many people, you know, we do these web videos, we do this Constituent Mailbox, we ask you to write us, we ask you to call us, because we want your input. And if we see so much input raising so many valid concerns about the impact that this is going to have on the internet, I thought maybe everyone should just take a deep breath, take a step back, and let's look at this a little further and do it the right way. So what I hope will happen in 2012 is a new bill will be introduced that will allow us to go after these rogue thieves that are stealing and pirating American intellectual property, but at the same time, not overly expand the power of government to interfere with our free and unfettered access to information on the internet. Well, that's what I wanted to cover in this week's Constituent Mailbox, the first one of the year. Again, please send us your emails and please write us. As SOPA and Protect IP proves, we take your input very seriously. And maybe there'll be some other issue along the way that will require as much input as well. In the meantime, thank you for tuning in and for watching this broadcast. And I look forward to coming back to you again next week with another installment of Constituent Mailbox. In the meantime, write us or email us. You never know. Your email or letter may be the next one we read on the air. God bless all of you. God bless our great state of Florida. A great time to be in Florida this time of year, of course. And God bless the United States. Thank you.